We're going to welcome to the show now this morning's political power panel. We have Republican strategist Jeff Burton and Democratic strategist Jay Satterfield. Good morning to you, gentlemen. Thanks for joining us on Morning in America today.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Jeff, I'm going to start with you. We've got this new FBI data, and it shows that the murder rate's hitting a 70-year low and violent crime plummeting in 2025. Crime, a strong issue for Republicans. How does the party message this to independent voters?
Well, and it's August recess in Congress, and now's the time that Americans start looking towards the midterm elections. And this is a big part of the Republicans' message, the largest drop in crime. You look at the border being secure, you look at the tax relief, and this is all part of the Republican message to remind voters what it was like under Joe Biden and Democrats just a couple of years ago.
All right, and Jay, I'll move on to you. The president campaigning with New York Republican gubernatorial candidate Bruce Blakeman. And right now, we've got to look at the polls we can show. Blakeman is about, 10 points behind incumbent candidate Governor Kathy Hochul. You know, Trump-backed candidates I'd say they're having a pretty good primary season, right? How does the president's endorsement play with undecided voters?
Yeah, look, the president is he's actually having a great cycle when it comes to his endorsements, and I'll give him credit where credit's due. However, independents across the country are about 70% opposed to the president at the current moment. I think that's something to say. I think that's something to notice. I'm seeing it from far left, far right polling. Right in the middle, nothing seems to change. Independents are pretty fed up with the president. They're tired of paying, well, right now, $4 a gallon for gas. Looking at it go up about 5 or 6 come the end of September, given the recent news about the Strait of Hormuz. So I don't know if independents are really tied so much to this. And the fact of the way the president thinks that they are. But I think folks are hungry, and I think they can't pay their bills.
And we're going to get to the Strait of Hormuz momentarily with a Navy guest in a moment. But, Jeff, Vice President J.D. Vance out with a message for Republicans. Listen here.
And my warning to my fellow Republicans, Will, would be if we don't get this right, don't blame young people for being sympathetic to socialism. We've got to blame ourselves. You don't stop socialism by throwing slogans at people about the free market. As much as I love the free market, you stop socialism by making people's lives better.
All right. So the White House is now reportedly weighing new tax cuts ahead of the midterms. And we are seeing tariff refunds supercharging earnings for companies like Apple, Nike, FedEx. Some businesses are passing at least a share of the earnings on to customers. But then you've also got small business owners, brick and mortar, who say that they're really continuing to struggle. So how do Republicans, Jeff, take control of the affordability narrative?
You know, it's like James Carville said, it's the economy stupid back, almost 30 years ago. And it's all about reminding voters, like I said before, it's talking about tax cuts. It's talking about what Donald Trump said just a minute ago on the show here up in New York, that it's talking about how it was under Joe Biden, how it is going to get better, how it's a little bit of short-term pain, and about communicating that message, like J.D. Vance said, to younger voters and convincing them that socialism is not the way.
All right, Jay, we'll get to you now. Kamala Harris making an appearance, embracing her party's push even further to the left. Listen here.
There is almost a rebellion against status quo because it has not been working for a lot of people for a long time. The way I think and talk about it is, for a lot of people, the American dream has become an American myth.
Jay, I'll give you this one. So is your party moving even further to the left? Is woke making a real comeback here? Is this a sign of where the party is going? Kamala Harris seen more as part of the establishment than pushing even further to the left. But it seems like a lot of establishment leadership within the Democratic Party is embracing some of this.
Yeah, it's like 20% of the party at most. This is the Tea Party movement on their end. Quite frankly, I think Republicans are just nervous. They're just throwing out spout words because they control the House, the Senate, and the White House. And heck, if we just want to call it the Supreme Court too, and they still can't get anything done. People are pissed. They're hungry. They can't eat. They want to pay their bills. They want health care. I think we need to focus on those things more than anything other than just titles. I find it funny. Republicans almost seem to just want to throw out titles, given the fact that they're in so much trouble. I find it, Anna, to sort of be like an arsonist calling a fireman and asking why he's late to the scene, and coming up with more questions and excuses. So again, people are hungry. They want to pay their health care. They want to pay their mortgages reasonably. I don't think any of this is hard to ask. And I think those are the things we should continue to stay focused on nationally.
Jeff, before I get back to you, Jay, we saw the loss this week of Democratic Socialist candidate Francesca Hong in Wisconsin. What does that tell you?
Oh, well, thank God. I'm a moderate to my core, and I'm so glad she lost to the extent that I don't agree with a lot of her policies. But with that said, I mean, again, this brings me back to my original point. This is a very small percentage of the Democratic Party nationally. I want to say it's like 8 and 12 or 8 and 13 now. The DSA has won, whether it be on the statewide level or the federal level. So again, I think Republicans are just looking for really strong term words to get their base hopefully excited for the fall, given that they're so down in the polls. Again, we're seeing with independents, they're down by about 70%. Within their own party, they're down by about 30, 35%. So, I can see where Republicans are nervous and they're starting to stomp on whatever they can to get attention.
All right, let's stay on midterms, but look toward the next presidential election now, Jeff. Progressive Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez not ruling out a run for president. Let's listen.
Are you going to run for president?
I mean, I'm focused on winning the midterms. I'm running for Congress right now. I haven't ruled out the possibility, and I'm very humbled to the tremendous amount of support out there. I think that we have a responsibility to remain focused on the midterms and not on our individual aspirations or plans.
All right, so does an AOC run make things harder or easier for Republicans?
It absolutely makes it easier on Republicans. I mean, we have to remind ourselves that she's very smart, but she's been moderating her positions. There's a lot in the progressive left that see her as being too mainstream nowadays. But if she runs, which I fully expect her to, we have to remind voters that she's the author of the Green New Deal. She's the mother of this woke movement, and Bernie Sanders' right hand in the Democratic Socialists of America. And Jay likes to minimize the socialist movement that's happening among the Democratic Party, but you can't give it away when you're talking about New York, when you're talking about Michigan, when you're talking about not even a socialist, but a far, 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 far left person almost winning the primary in Wisconsin. This is a serious issue for Democrats, and it's because of the lack of leadership that they have in Washington. And you heard it from Kamala Harris. I mean, I don't know why the Democrats would really listen to somebody who lost every swing state just a year and a half ago.
All right, Jay, we got to jump, but I'm going to give you 20 seconds to respond.
Thank you. So I think Jeff should listen to our vice president, who seems to be worried, right? He seems to be very worried about where the country's headed, and Republicans are continuing to lose. I mean, Jeff can say what he wants to about the socialist issue, but really, again, the White House, the Senate, the House, and the Supreme Court are controlled by Republicans, and they continue just to screw it up. People are tired. People are hungry. They want their health care. Jeff will keep talking as much as he wants to about socialism, but we all know those are just strong talking points to his end, and it's not going to go anywhere at the end of the day.
I don't have to go far to talk about it, Jay. It's out there, and you open your eyes.
When it comes out of his mouth. So that's the way I'll leave it.
We are seeing quite a few wins. All right, Republican strategist Jeff Burton, Democratic strategist Jay Satterfield, thank you so much for weighing in. That's the way we like to do it here at News Nation. News for all Americans, showing you both sides. Thank you.